So, good morning.
Good morning.
Could you tell us who you are and where you're from, and if you don't mind, how old you are?
My name's Orland Holmes. I've lived in Fort Wayne for the last 25 years or so, and I'm 60 years old.
Wow. And we're going to talk to you today about community access. So, how do you find community access in the Fort Wayne area?
I find that in a lot of places it's not very good.
Okay.
There's a lot of things in this town that really are not accessible for somebody that's as mobility challenged as I am.
Are there places in town that you do enjoy that are accessible?
There's a lot of places in town that are decent. I used to go to Glenbrook quite a bit, and they used to have more handicap parking until they put in all their temporary pickup parking, and then they cut out half their handicap parking. So I don't go out there anymore either.
You mentioned some of the activities that you're not able to participate in because of accessibility. Are there other things like voting that are a challenge?
Where I vote is real easy, and I've not had any problem with it. Which is good.
Yes. Are there other activities that you'd like to participate in that you're not able to because of accessibility?
I'd like to go downtown and participate more in Three Rivers activities down in the festival, and some of those, there's just not enough parking, especially for somebody that can't walk very far.
Okay. How do you feel?
And I don't always have somebody that can take me.
Right.
And don't like being dependent on anybody other than, a really close friend or family, because I never know for sure, how long it's going to be.
How is public transit?
I used to live in San Francisco. In San Francisco, you can catch a bus to anywhere within 2 blocks. Public transit here does not exist, in my eyes. And the quality of air for me to go outside and try and catch a bus or wait a half an hour, it would be a horror trip for me.
Okay.
And the steps, are rough too, because I don't do steps very well.
How do you feel about local businesses and government? Are they doing enough to integrate people with disabilities into the community?
I think they are.
What tips would you give them?
I think they need to actually get out and talk to people that are severely mobility challenged or have other issues that live this kind of life, and get some feedback from them as to what the real issues are, because the issues that they see aren't always accurate. I mean, every now and then I pull up to a restaurant and their handicap parking is clear around on the side away from the front door by 50, 60 feet, and they've got parking in front for non-handicap parking. Now granted, they've got handicap parking, but it's not for anybody that's mobility challenged, it's not friendly. And there's silly things like this that I don't know who was thinking, but they just don't make sense. Yeah, and put some thought into what you're doing, or get some input from somebody that these decisions affect. Because what seems like a good idea isn't always.
Well, thank you for being a part of this.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Okay. So if you don't mind, tell us your name and your community.
My community?
Yeah. So your name, where you live, and if you don't mind, your age.
Sure, I don't mind. My name is Bill Bailey, just like the song, if you're old enough to remember it. I live in Fort Wayne, and I'm 58 years old.
And you said that you're new to this.
I lost my leg in '08.
Okay.
My wife's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you weren't quite sure what you wanted to talk about.
No, not really. This is all new to me. I don't know if it's normal for people new to prosthetics, but I kind of withdrew from the world after I lost my leg. I kind of really have lost touch with everybody I knew, worked with, that kind of thing. So I was kind of forced into retirement, and I'm just starting to come out,
Okay.
so to speak.
So what made you come out here to this expo?
I recently became acquainted with a new prosthetics company in town. They're not new in town, and I switched prosthetic companies from the one I originally had after I first lost my leg, and then for different reasons went to a different company, and they are very big into not only fitting you with the right leg, but doing different activities too. They're very active with Turnstone. They have kind of clinics they hold every 3 months, and then they're big into this as well. So I've gotten to know my prosthetist very well, and through him I'm hanging out
Okay.
and enjoying it very much.
Now, you mentioned you were kind of forced into retirement and that
Yes.
you kind of retreated. So how has your life changed?
It changed drastically. I originally had a football injury in high school that resulted in a total of 15 knee operations. And one of the last operations, I caught a staph infection, and the staph infection damn near killed me. And it was either lose the leg or lose my life. It came down to that. So after I lost the leg, it's like losing a person. It really is. Part of you is gone. And people at first, they kind of say hi, how are you? They still come around, and then it all changes. And then, because you really don't have anything in common anymore with people.
You really don't have things in common with people anymore?
Not the people that I worked with, no, because
Okay.
I left, I was a teacher in the teaching profession, and it just, it kind of just faded away. And it's once you stop teaching, I guess it's like being a cop, but once you're not a cop anymore, you don't have things in common with those people anymore, so you lose touch.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's no different.
So have you found a support system
No,
now?
there's not one in Indiana, believe it or not, in northern Indiana. Through the company that I've gone to, this SRT, they have a guy that's part of the 3-month exhibitions they do that's trying to start one, trying to get a support group going. And there's really not one in town, which I'm amazed at a city this size.
Yeah. What benefits would you like to get out of having a support group, having that
Just
started?
hanging out with people that are missing limbs, that know what it's like to, what you go through, the pain, the suffering, the phantom pains you have, everything that goes with loss. And it really is. It's a huge loss in your life. You don't realize, just going home, how your house all of a sudden isn't the friendly, warm place it used to be. It's now something to conquer.
So what things in and around Fort Wayne that you used to do are now challenges because of your leg?
In my household, I'm kind of the shopper. I take care of the groceries, the cooking, that kind of thing. And grocery shopping was a huge challenge to conquer again, to get back.
What specifically was challenging about it?
When I started, I had those little carts they have in the supermarket for people to drive around. I discovered that people hate you in those carts.
Oh.
They do. Because you're a pain in the ass, you block the aisles. So I wanted to get off of those carts as soon as I could. So as soon as I got a leg, I stopped using the carts. And then people tend to be helpful when they're not asked. People decided that because I'm missing a leg, that they should empty my shopping cart for me at the checkout. Which pisses the hell out of me. I mean, why would you do that? I want to do as much as I can the way it used to be. As some things won't be. Then I mean, I still need crutches at night when I don't have the leg on and stuff. But no, I don't want that kind of help. Because I don't look at myself as disabled. Unless I just look at myself as changed. That's all. And I have to adapt to that change.
So you were a teacher.
Yes.
And you're not a teacher anymore.
No.
And you alluded to the fact that that might be because you were disabled?
Actually, yeah. With the staff, with my case, it wasn't just the fact that I lost the leg. The staph infection I had with it, the amount of medications I was on. I was a coach as well. I just couldn't. I couldn't function at first for the first few months, and probably still can't in a classroom setting. Or there's too much involved as far as medications and things go, and how far I can go in a day, and it's not the same.
So would you want to get back into teaching, either like on a part-time or?
Yes and no. The yes is I enjoy the aspect of teaching another individual. The no part is I don't want to be back in the classroom with administrations and that kind of stuff anymore. Unless I will volunteer and teach that way.
Okay. Is there anything positive?
Sure there is.
That's come out of this experience?
Yeah, unless I have met some wonderful people, both disabled and non. I got involved with the ACA, which is the Coalition for Amputees or something. And through them, through the University of Washington, there's a program called TIPS, T-I-P-S. And what they do is they offer, it's a pain management course over the telephone from Washington. You get involved with different people out from the University of Washington, and they send you a binder and do all kinds of things. And that was a great experience, and it helped me a great deal with things like massage therapy, mirror therapy, managing pain medication, how to talk to my physician, how to talk to other people, family, that kind of thing. So that was a great guidance that helped me the second year I was an amputee.
What, in terms of getting around town and doing activities, whether it's voting or a museum or anything that interests you, what would you, where would you say we need improvements?
Oh, most places now are accessible, either through ramps or things. Any place that there's the older buildings and stuff, and you hate to make a case for things like that, because if a building is historical, like the courthouse, say, and where there's a great deal of steps and stuff, which is difficult for people with disabilities, that's going to be a thing that, yes, people want to come see it, they want to see the architecture, they want to see the beauty of it, but if you've got to change and destroy that beauty to do it, it's not worth it to me. And it's either you have to find a different way. And so older buildings are always going to be a problem. The newer buildings you don't have to worry about. They're all set up for the world. And of course travel with the the crack team of people they have that from Homeland Security, that we're not treated the same at any airport by the different people. They need to standardize that just a little bit better. It is very invasive.
So tell me about a travel experience that you've had.
Well, it's just that when you take this leg off, it's not as simple as taking it off and then putting it back on. You carry around a little bottle of rubbing alcohol because it evaporates very quickly, and it serves as a lubricant for the sleeve to fit down inside the leg, because it's a suction. There's a ring that goes around and it holds through suction. So if you're at a place where they have this kind of thing, it's not just airports, It's any like national buildings, monuments, that kind of thing, that where they have people take off their shoes, belts. They can request that the leg comes off. If it does, and you don't, and they confiscate those little bottles right away because they're flammable. So now you're stuck with not being able to get the leg really back on well. And now it doesn't fit right. So it's a terrible experience that way, because now it doesn't fit right. You're doing this when you walk. It's a pain. So you stop going to places. You say to your family, you guys go ahead. I'm going to sit this one out.
So what, you said you're starting to get back out.
Yes.
Into life.
Mm-hmm.
What is the hardest part about that?
Not silly. I guess there's no such thing as a stupid question, but boy, it seems like people come up with some doozies sometimes. Some parents feel compelled to bring their children over to look at it, to examine it, to dog and pony show for them without asking. And then other people will come up and ask blatant questions. Did you step on a landmine? Did you get a shot off? No, staph infection. And it's, oh, well, that's boring, and walk away. So getting past that without being angry, just slowing down your life to getting around. Unless you can't, the pace is slower. It's not as easy. It's learning to walk and do again. And it's I hate to say baby steps, but it is. It's baby steps at first, and you grow from there.
What haven't I asked you that you wanted to talk about?
Nothing. Just that we're the same as we were before. We're just slower. I mean, it's I don't know how else to put it. If there is a question that people have, by all means do ask, but be sensitive about how you ask and when you ask. That's all.
So can we start with your name and where you live?
My name is Justa, and I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
And if you don't mind sharing with us how old you are.
I'm 18 years old.
Okay. And you wanted to talk about having autism.
Yes, autism, I basically like to say it's a very, very enjoyable psychological condition. It's kind of like having like a movie theater in your head. It's basically like being able to watch TV all the time but in your head. It's like having like your own television shows in your head that you can control. It's basically very, very interesting. It's just like watching TV, only you can control everything that happens.
Can you tell me a little bit about school and going through school with autism?
Well, it's kind of hard because it's kind of like hard because like sometimes the subject can be so boring you just want to turn on the movie in your head. Sometimes you need to run off a little bit of energy anyway, because like sometimes there needs to be energy that needs to be run off. Because you see, if you restrain it all the time, I would probably go crazy if I had to restrain it all the time. So I have a little bit of time sometimes sometimes this isn't as bad as it used to be, but sometimes things can be a little bit too loud. I'm very, very sensitive to sound. When I was in elementary school, whenever we had assemblies, I used to cry because it used to be so loud, but it's not as bad as it used to be. But sometimes I have to leave like auditoriums because it'll be too loud. Like recently in theater class, they were doing hammering, like they were hammering in something at work, and I said, Mr. Miller, I need to go. And like he said, okay. They're very understanding, and I'm very, very good friends with the staff. Not because they get in trouble, but I'm very, very interested. A lot of kids, and also another interesting thing about autism is you're able to remember things very, very detailedly. I guess that's because you're thinking in pictures or whatever. It's like very, very interesting. I'm probably the only one in school who actually, I'm dead serious, I'm not bragging, but I can actually explain how gravity is related to space and time.
Oh, wow.
And I can explain it if you want.
Sure.
Okay, well, planets are like this. A planet is Like say that my shirt is my coat is space and time.
Okay.
And say there's a planet right here. That planet's going to create a dent around it. So anything that's traveling along is pulled into that dent.
Oh.
So that gravity is hypothetically a dent in space and time. Isn't that interesting?
That is.
You understand that, right?
I do. It's actually probably the first time I've ever understood that.
Yeah, it's very, very easy to understand if you read a lot of stuff about it. Also, I know that, it's very, very interesting. I can remember movie lines entirely. For instance, I can remember an entire movie just by watching it two times.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Sometimes I remember, and I remember stuff from my childhood that it's like, how do you remember that? Autism can sometimes be troubling because sometimes I'm not as bad as I used to be, but sometimes you speak on what's the first thing in your mind, depending on what the situation is appropriate. Sometimes people are very understanding. I have a lot of friends at school, and they're very, very supportive of me, and they appreciate me, and I think it's because with autism, I'm sort of kept a little bit of a childlike innocence with me.
So, are you preparing? What level in school are you at?
Well, actually, I'm a senior.
Okay.
And I'm doing very, very well. I got C's and B's right now, so it's not too bad.
Good job.
I'm going to college. I'm going to St. Francis. Got accepted to St. Francis, so I'm.
Congratulations.
And it's is there anything else you want to ask me?
Well, I wanted to ask you about preparing for college. Is that a little scary?
That is very, very scary. I'm having to work with my dad with that because it's kind of a little bit scary, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little bit scared, but I guess everything in life is scary. I was scared to go to high school. I was scared to go to middle school, but I went there anyway, and after a while, it was okay.
What have you had to do in terms of advocating for yourself to make sure that in college you'll have the same kind of relationship that you do with current teachers?
Well, I just simply say I'm autistic, and it's much more easier. I'm actually good at explaining what autism is like. A lot of people, when they think of autism, they think of the Rain Man, but the Rain Man is just one form of autism.
Okay.
There are many different forms of autism, and the one thing about autistic people is they remember things very, very well. Usually you can be an autistic person who is very, very good at counting facts and figures and stuff like that. But I really don't think autism is that bad. Actually, a lot of historical figures who are believed to be considered autistic, like Hans Christian Andersen, Albert Einstein, and Isaac Newton. Seriously, there's a book called Different Like Me, a book of autism heroes, and there's all these famous people. The writer of Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll, his real name is Charles Dodgson, and all these famous people that you wouldn't even think about, but they are all believed to consider to have autism. And all these brilliant minds, and you have to find that book. If you can find the book, it's called Different Like Me, a book of autism heroes. All this list of famous autistic people who are believed to be autistic or have been proven to be autistic.
So really,
I want people to actually. I know autism. There's bad things about autism, but I don't want people to just say autism is bad just because there's a few bad things about it. There actually is a lot of good things about it. Like we can remember things very, very wellly. That's a terrible grammar. The grammar police are going to kill me.
So we have. I have to wrap this up. Do you have anything else that you want to say?
Autism. There are some things that are bad, but there are many gifts from it as well.
Okay. Well, let's start off. Can you tell us your name and the community you live in?
My name is Paul Doery, and I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay. And would you mind telling us how old you are?
I am 61.
Okay. And you said you're relatively new to this.
Yes, I am.
So how long is relatively new?
Real quick, short version of the story, left leg cut off below the knee, December of '08. Right leg lost above the knee in May of '09.
Okay.
Prior to my initial amputation, I was a window and door service technician for a window and door manufacturing company out of Wisconsin to troubleshoot window and door operating systems that would require heavy lifting, crawling up and down ladders on the outside of 3-story buildings, or hanging outside of a window 4 stories up in the middle of downtown Chicago. And I can't do that anymore. I physically cannot do that. So I was laid off from that position. Employment now, I'm not employed right now. Now at this point in my life, I'd like to find a part-time situation that is a fun opportunity to go to, not necessarily 40 hours a week, something part-time, something that I could add my humor and personality to the workforce, to the people, other personalities, living on Social Security disability and a small pension. So I am a survivor. And if I can find something that's part-time fun, then I'll jump into it. Or if I can help other people out, like in the counseling part of it, through the VA, fine.
What was maybe the most interesting observation you made making a transition from such a physically demanding job to how people react to you now? And what would you like them to know how they should handle reacting to you now?
Well, fortunately, the friends I have, I'm not going to say they're all jokesters, but on the other hand, they don't cut me any slack because of the personality, interaction, the local libation institution that we frequent, like your typical Archie Bunker type libation institution or Cheers. All my friends know me and know what I can do, what I can't do. Paul, you need help? My first response is, no, I don't need any help. But I've had to learn to ask for help rather than to be forcefully aggressive to the point, I don't need any help, I can do this. You need help? My response is, yeah, if I fall down, pick me up. Otherwise, I'll try anything and figure out a way to accomplish that objective so I can go on to the next one.
Now, you mentioned your libation institution. Did they have to make any adjustments for you to be in a wheelchair? Because sometimes there's not the most accessible places.
Normally, I walk in with crutches.
Okay.
I only use this for speed to get around. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm a lot faster in this than I am walking.
Makes sense.
There are obstacles, but every obstacle that I come across, whether it's in the city or in my home, it's a matter, in my mind, to scratch my head and figure out how am I going to accomplish this.
What kind of support system do you have?
Friends.
Okay.
I have a lot of friends who visited me and have helped me out when I transitioned from the hospital to rehab hospital to back in my condominium, which is a 2-story. So if I leave this leg, my full leg downstairs to be charged up, I go up and down my stairs on my butt,
Okay.
one step at a time. And it's humorous. I have no problem saying how I get up and down the stairs.
Are you still able to be active, like with racquetball? I forget what else you said you did.
Bicycling, I'm working on getting a tri-wheel recumbent
Okay.
hand-powered cycle.
Oh, wow.
Because it's evident that I don't have the power ability to ride a regular bicycle.
Okay.
But that's my next personal goal, is to get a recumbent trike, hand-powered, and get back to riding in what's known as the Hilly 100 out of Bloomington, which I've done 8 times,
Oh, wow.
but on a regular bicycle with regular legs. Next time it's going to be a little different, a little bit more of a challenge, but that's what I want. That's what I'm going to do.
Very good. In terms of getting around Fort Wayne and doing things, what challenges have you had to overcome? Are there things that you used to be able to do that you can't do?
That's two or three part question. Let me answer the last part. Is there anything I can't do? No.
Okay.
Things that I used to do, obstacles that I've come across, curbs, because there's not enough wheelchair access to get up. I can walk with crutches, not very stable yet since I'm still learning. When I had lower leg amputation, no problem. I could walk around and you probably couldn't tell the difference. But adding the second leg above the knee amputation is a lot more balance problems.
Is this the first kind of conference like this that you've attended?
Yes.
And what made you come out today?
In all selfishness, looking for that 3-wheel bicycle,
Okay.
which I did find out and back, so it's been a successful conference for me in that alone. I've seen other people around here that I know, seen all kinds of people walk around here with disabilities or physical challenges, and I don't see anybody who's down and out. I have been helped out and given assistance by a Indiana Vocational Rehab to pick up some like computer training that I was not used to doing before. But dealing with other agencies, I've not been that actively involved, or I haven't really needed that yet.
Okay.
But I know there are potential agencies, organizations out there that I'm not aware of yet. But I am working with the VA hospital as a veteran, as a disabled veteran, to help get my trike.
Okay.
That's my goal, that's what I want, and I will get it somehow.
So, can you tell us your name
My name is Debbie Wagner.
and where do you live?
I live here in Fort Wayne.
Okay. And do you mind sharing with us how old you are?
Wow, I am going to be 45 this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You don't look like it.
Thanks.
And who do you have with you?
I have Scarlett. Scarlett is my assistance dog. She's very helpful.
And how long have you had her?
About 3 years.
Okay. Is she your first dog?
She is.
Okay.
She is, yeah.
What? Sorry, I'll go all over the place. What has she been the most helpful with?
Well, she knows about 70 commands. She came with 36 from Assistance Dogs of America in Swanton, Ohio.
Okay.
And they teach you in the training process on how to train them to do additional tasks.
Okay.
So as I found that I needed more help, she was able to learn how to do that through their training.
Oh wow. And so you are here helping out at the Expo today.
I am.
And what is it you think people can get from coming to an event like this?
This is my second year in attendance. I was also here last year, and what I found to be most beneficial is under one roof you can find so many vendors that help people with disabilities, and it's a great networking opportunity also. People with disabilities that I haven't seen for many years have shown up, and so it's a great opportunity to catch up with them, to make future social plans and things like that.
Oh wow. So it's really filling a lot of needs, not just one.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now you mentioned that you drive.
I do.
What do you drive?
I have a Dodge Caravan.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about getting around town driving.
Actually, it's fairly easy to get around town. Of course, I was born and raised here, so
Okay.
I've known Fort Wayne all of my life. It's really not too difficult at all. I guess in terms of driving, the thing I find to be most frustrating is that there's a lot of people with disabled placards on their license plates and in their or on their mirrors. And so there's really not enough disabled parking spaces often for the people that need them when they need them.
Okay.
So what happens in that case, because I have a van with a lift on the side, I need to take up 2 parking spaces instead of just 1.
Okay.
And then I also get looks and stares from able-bodied people that drive their vehicles like, we need that space, then you're taking it. So I would think if there would be more handicap parking spaces per lot, or the doctors that are giving out those placards that maybe shouldn't be giving them as freely would tighten the reins a little bit, it would make it easier for all of us.
Okay.
Some of the outside activities, like at Headwaters Park, disabled parking is a premium there, and you also travel quite a distance once you're outside of your vehicle to the event. So Headwaters Park activities I don't usually attend just because of that, as well as events for Three Rivers Festival.
Okay.
And it's all related to the parking. If parking could be made easier for us and more reliable, because if I park in a handicapped spot and there's an access aisle with the diagonal line saying don't park here, and somebody parks next to me, I cannot get in my vehicle until that car moves.
Oh wow.
And that could be hours. You
Right.
know? And not many people feel comfortable handing the keys to their car to a stranger saying, could you back this up for me and please don't take it? So it just creates an awkward situation.
What experiences have you had just out with able-bodied people where they make you feel uncomfortable, that you wish what do you wish they knew so that they're not making you feel uncomfortable? Or
Right. Well, I would like to be treated just as if I weren't a person with a disability, because in all aspects of my life, I'm just as normal as everybody else, with the exception of my physical limitations. And if they have questions about those, feel free to ask in a polite and respectful way. Honestly, Scarlett has been a great bridge between myself and my life and people's fears and anxieties towards people with disabilities. I was always a very social individual prior to receiving Scarlett, but what I find is that people start asking questions about Scarlett, or they relay a story about their life with a dog of their own, and then all of a sudden they find out answers to questions that they knew they had but were afraid to ask, or maybe they didn't even have the question until I brought it up, and it just makes for a very comfortable conversation in that way.
Okay. Do you mind talking about work?
I can talk about work.
Okay. Do you currently work?
I do.
What do you do?
I do. I work for Do It Best Corp, their
Okay.
world headquarters, and I work in their e-commerce department.
Okay.
So I help all of the Do It Best stores around the world obtain a website and maintain that, market that.
And throughout attaining that job, was there anything in particular that you felt at a disadvantage for?
Well, you're always wondering, or at least I'm always wondering when I'm talking to another individual, what perceptions do they have of a person with a disability? I try to recognize them as quickly as I can, not always able to do so. But if I recognize them and am able to educate them without making them feel uncomfortable for thinking incorrectly about their assumption, it's a better situation. I think if a person with a disability comes to an employment interview with the proper qualifications and can present themselves well, if it is meant to be, it will be. And if it's not meant to be, even at the interview stage, it's better for the two people to part ways before it becomes an employment situation, and then it becomes a little more difficult. Do It Best Corp has been very good to me over the years, and it's been a good situation for all of us.
Okay. Through, not just specifically at Do It Best Corp, but throughout your working history, are there things that employers have done that made you feel uncomfortable, and vice versa? Are there things that they did really well?
Let me think about that. I've worked for Do It Best Corp this is my 13th year, so
Okay.
It's been a while since I've interviewed for a job.
Well, I didn't want to put
like
them
that.
on the hot spot. Like, if
Oh,
we're going to
yeah.
talk about negative stuff, I don't want it to be like Do It Best Corp is evil. And I didn't.
No.
So that's why I wanted to, I wanted it to be general.
No, I understand. What I think, some of the situations, I can tell usually by the posture of the interviewer. Initially, not your posture, but the interviewer, if they kind of size me up from head to toe, or their facial expressions give it away as far as they're not feeling real comfortable about this situation, then it's up to me as the person being interviewed. Is that related to the individual and they're uncomfortable, or is that a reflection of the entire company, and are they ready to accept a person with a disability?
How do you have that how do you start that conversation?
As to whether or not they're comfortable or uncomfortable?
Yeah, see, okay. Let me preface this, because I tend to be a pretty blunt person.
Okay.
So, like, if it were me, I think I'd be like, so let's have a conversation about this.
Okay.
But does that work?
Well, it might, and it depends on, one, how interested I would be in that particular job. You know, do I really want that job, and am I willing to make the sacrifices that might be needed because the person or company is not comfortable with my disability? Or have I in my head already decided that, you know, they are too far from acceptance for me to feel comfortable here? And in that latter situation, I would be much more confrontational. Because in my mind, I have already decided that if they offer me a job, I'm going to decline it because I don't like the work environment. And so I would be a little more blunt and say, you know, how comfortable are you with the person with a disability? And most of the time they say, oh, that would be no problem, but they would not make eye contact with me at the time because they're on the spot now and they're feeling uncomfortable. But giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're willing to make the effort to become more comfortable.
Okay.
So kind of complimenting them without criticizing them.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, thanks.
We have just a few more minutes, so Could you tell me a little bit about your involvement in civic activities like voting or using the library? And if there are things in the community, well, you kind of touched on things that you might like to participate that you can't, like Three Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
But are there other things that you can think of that you do participate in because you would like to and because they're accessible?
I do a lot with the organization called Turnstone.
Okay.
I'm on their board, so I help in that capacity. I also participate as a client in their fitness program and their wheelchair sports. I play wheelchair tennis.
Okay.
For them. So I also do wheelchair fencing. I've forgotten about fencing because it had been a little bit. So I really enjoy those activities. I'm always involved in the community, whether it be like, some of it is for exercise. During the day I'm using my mind and my hands and stuff, but my legs don't get a lot of exercise. So I swim in the evenings and play the sports and things. So I do those things. As far as other community involvement, I love to visit the Civic and attend their plays and their programs. It's a nice relaxing thing for Scarlett and I to do together. I enjoy movies and I'm at the mall. Just anything anybody else would do in the Fort Wayne community.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right.
All right.
Do you want to talk about dating or anything like that?
No, that's boring.
They told me at some point they want to get into that with the interviews. I'm like, not really comfortable with that.
No. Well, we can. Honestly, we can. That's no problem. I've dated able-bodied people. I've dated people with disabilities. And in both situations, that each person brings a different set to the relationship. So it doesn't really matter to me if the person is able-bodied or disabled. It's their whole package and what they bring to the relationship that matters to me. So the only big difference I found with people with disabilities and people without obvious disabilities is that the able-bodied person doesn't know enough about a disability sometimes, or at least in my experiences, to make it a comfortable relationship. I had a situation one time where someone didn't want to date me anymore because my van at the time took 3 minutes, according to every manual that I read, for the lift to unfold and to fold back up and the door to close and me to transfer from my seat to the driver's seat. He didn't want to wait those 3 minutes every day. And I've dated, people for anywhere from 3 years to, at the high end, to, a couple months or a couple dates at the other end.
Okay.
Disability doesn't make the situation.
Okay.
All right.
I love that answer.
Okay.
Mostly because this is all very new to me, and everything just seems just like me.
Yep, just normal.
And I don't want to use that word.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like you're thinking about all the same things that I am.
Everybody else would.
Yeah.
When you're born with it, a lot of the emotional issues that come along with the physical disability are dealt with throughout a person's lifetime. So yes, I still get frustrated. Yes, I'm still angry sometimes at the situation. But most of the time I choose that I only have one life to live, and I choose to live it to the fullest. Where if you acquired a disability, you're still the same person inside that you were the day before, but now you have other issues to deal with. And society doesn't stop for somebody to deal with their issues. You have to figure out how to integrate them into everyday life. So it's a little more challenging, I think, to acquire a disability than to be born and raised with it. So
it's a very interesting perspective. I like it.
So hopefully that was within your time frames. But
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, my name is Bob Odell. I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm originally from Lansing, Michigan, and I'll be 64 years old in September.
And you are retired from?
Verizon.
Okay, I thought you said GM.
That's where I originally applied for a job.
Oh, okay.
Many years ago. Many years ago.
So do you want to start with your story about trying to find a job? Or do you want to start with your story about getting through college?
Well, I can start with my story through getting through college.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a little background. I'm post polio from 1949. and I have residual paralysis from that. And over the years I've gotten weaker. I went to Michigan State University, and I had difficulty there with getting around campus. They allowed me to have one parking space, so I had to walk around the campus, and there was almost 40,000 students at that time, and it was very difficult.
And so it ended up taking how long for you to get through?
It took 5 years to get my bachelor's degree. It took 3 years to do the first 2 years, and then when I got into engineering, everything was located, most everything was in the engineering building, and it was easier to get around. I did all that in 2 years.
Okay. And then did you go immediately to get your master's?
Yeah, I went right immediately to get my master's, and that took me about 15 months.
What's your master's in?
Okay, my bachelor's and master's are both in electrical engineering. And I was a grad assistant too. I was a quarter-time teaching assistant and a quarter-time research assistant. And I did research under my professor, who was assisting the Department of Entomology, and they were doing research on the cereal leaf beetle. And I designed and built a leaf damage estimator that they used in their research, the entomology department used in their research. This is back in 1972.
Did you have any problems with any of your professors in regards to your disability, or was it strictly the university and their...
It was just the university with the lack of facilities for the handicap. Well, I'm from Lansing, Michigan, and General Motors was there, and they made Oldsmobiles in Lansing, and at that time Oldsmobile was third in sales, so they were expanding their production of Oldsmobiles, and they had ads in the newspaper for electrical engineers. So at the same time, the United Auto Workers was on strike, so I had my mom drive me down to the employment office, and there was no picketers there, and I went inside the building to the Human Resources Department, and which I had to go down steps to get to there. And I got an application, and the man took my name and phone number, and I went back out, and my mom drove me home. And when I got home, and just inside the door, the man called and said he checked with Fisher Body Division in Detroit, and that they would not be able to hire me because of my disability, because they were afraid I was an insurance risk and I would injure myself, and so they would not give me an interview or consider hiring me.
So they flat out told you why?
Told me no, they wouldn't consider hiring me.
Is this before or after disabilities laws?
Well, there wasn't any there wasn't a whole lot of disability laws then.
Okay.
Oldsmobile was looking for electrical engineers, so I had my mom drive me down because my mobility was kind of limited, and I didn't know where I was going to park. So I went down, and I went in, and there was a bunch of other young men there my age that were going to be interviewed, and I walked in, and the human resources person, who didn't even ask my name or shook my hand, looked at me and asked me if I would sit there, and then he took the rest of the job candidates out into the factory for interviews, and I waited there for maybe an hour, hour and a half, and he came back and took me in his office and told me that he would not be able to hire me because of my disability. And so my father, who was very upset, called the Governor's Commission on Employment of the Handicapped, since we live in Lansing, and there was a person from Oldsmobile that was on that committee. There was also a person from General Telephone in Muskegon, Michigan, that was on the committee. Well, Oldsmobile brought me in and gave me a physical, a very detailed physical, but I never did receive an interview for that. And in the meantime of trying to seek employment, I applied at Michigan State University to do my master's degree in electrical engineering, and so I was taking classes, and I got a call one day and at my office at the College of Engineering, and a person from General Telephone invited me up for an interview, and I went up there and interviewed. I came back home, and then a week later or so they offered me a job and invited me back up, and I filled out all the paperwork, and they sent me down to the company doctor for General Telephone of Michigan, and the doctor looked me over, and he brought me back into his office and said, I will approve you for a desk job, but you're an accident ready to happen, is what he referred to me as. And in a couple years in between, I left GTE from Fort Wayne and went to the Detroit area, and General Motors had bought electronic data systems, EDS, from Ross Perot, and they were doing all their data processing Well, it turned out my dad asked me to send a resume, and he took it to Oldsmobile in Lansing, and my resume ended up down at Electronic Data Systems, and I went up there for an interview, and I had a pretty good interview until I mentioned the fact that I had some mobility issues, and the person interviewing me said, "Just a minute," and he walked out of the room and came back in, and the interview ended then. And so I went back to Fort Wayne, kind of not feeling too good about it, because this is 1986 and I'm still feeling the sting of being discriminated against on the basis of disability. And then lo and behold, about 2 weeks later, they invited me back up for an interview, and they offered me a position. Because General Motors owned the company, I ended up working for General Motors and going in their factories and installing electronic switching equipment. So I did, for 2 years, actually kind of work for General Motors.
Over that 31 years, what was the most marked best resolution in terms of how employees handled disability?
Well, they had the Americans with Disability Act was in I think around 1990, and I was at work, and I belong to the Employee Good Government Club, which is you give money to. It's a PAC, Political Action Committee, and we give money to political candidates and so forth. And I'm sitting there reading the Good Government Bulletin, and they got a little note in there that said when companies or parking lots are resurfaced, that at that time that the state law said that they were supposed to bring them up to code to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And I'm reading that, and I'm looking out the window, watching them resurface the parking lot at General Telephone, and they're not bringing it up to code. So I didn't say anything, and then a few years later they did the same thing again, and by that time, it was after 1997, I was on the internet, so I went in and pulled out the handicap parking regulation, and I gave it to the building maintenance people and the human resources, and they did bring the parking lot up to standards with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And that was the only thing they had done. I forget what year that was. And then later on, probably around 1999 or 2000, there was always trouble in the building with the elevators not working, and sometimes you get in them and you go down and the inner door would open and the outer door wouldn't, or sometimes they wouldn't work at all. And one day one elevator wasn't working. I saw the maintenance guy come in, and he left, and the elevator still didn't work. And they were doing some remodeling on the front steps of the building, and they only had one disabled entrance. So I wrote an email to everybody I could think of, building, engineering, human resources, and I said, well, maybe you can make the front entrance wheelchair accessible, because I was in a wheelchair at that time. And I also brought up the fact that none of the restrooms had been brought up to the Americans with Disabilities Act. And they didn't do the front end of the building, but they did bring the building up to code 2 years later. And they put an electric door in, and then they had a men's and women's restroom on each floor, was brought up to standards with the ADA. So that did improve, but I always had to ask for things. They just didn't go in and do things.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you would like to talk about?
Well, just right now, I've been retired for 8 years, but I still volunteer. I volunteer at the Catholic radio station here in Fort Wayne, doing production work, preparing local programming, and I'm active in the church, Knights of Columbus, so I still do things for people along those lines. So I try to remain active.
I did want to ask you about that, because I grew up Catholic, and I know that Catholic Charities is a very large resource for a lot of people. How have you found the Catholic community to be?
They could improve their handicap parking a lot better.
Right.
That's one thing. They are improving it, but restrooms they are improving, but it's a slow process.
Okay.
But everything's better than it was 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah. So, can you tell us your name?
Name is Kevin Hughes.
And where do you live?
Right here in Fort Wayne.
Okay. And do you mind sharing with us how old you are?
26.
26. And you work for Turnstone, is that right?
Yes. I'm one of the sports and recreation coordinators there.
Okay. So I've heard that you're an athlete.
I compete in a few sports. In the summer, I like to do tennis. and push my chair a lot, doing I'm training for the Port for Fitness,
Okay.
doing the half marathon, so the 13.1 miles. Right now I haven't done any other races, but it's the whole training leading up to it's a blast.
What does training entail for you?
Training starts off this time of the year. I'll do about 4 miles twice a week, just to kind of get going, and then as the weeks progress, going closer to it, I'll get closer to the 13 miles. I'll probably do the 13 miles probably the last 3 weeks up to the training, and then pretty much when I get to the actual race, it's a breeze. I mean, it's smooth. I mean, all the training going into it makes it so much easier, and then obviously the environment, the people there, the live bands that are playing, the people outside from their houses, watching, cheering you on. So I'd like to get around the 8-minute mile mark, be a little bit more of a faster pace. So we'll see how it goes.
You'll beat me.
Yes.
I can't do the 13 mile anymore.
Yes.
And last year I did the 4 miler and I averaged 11:20.
Yeah. We all have different goals, right? All have different goals. In the winter, I play sled hockey.
Okay.
And I grew up in a hockey family, so it's kind of a natural fit. Just love the sport, love being on the ice. I mean, the one thing I love about this all adaptive sports is it's the same sport. If anybody's watching, wheelchair basketball, hockey, watching somebody ski, whatever, it looks the exact same. The only difference is you have equipment underneath you. Instead of using your legs, you got some wheels to kind of propel yourself. So, but other than that, the rules are the same, the environment's the same, the location, like in basketball, you still got 10 foots, everything is the same setup. And that's really what I like. I like doing things that everybody else is doing, just, I guess, in a different way without using your legs.
So, tell us how you came to Turnstone.
Okay. I started at Turnstone for preschool. Went there back then for preschool. I received therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, growing up through. And then in elementary school, they had a couple different programs during the weekend. There was one called Winners on Wheels, and that was kind of like a Boy Scout, Girl Scouts. It was co-ed, a lot of fun, having a good time with my friends. Kind of going from there. They then later they had after-school programs where they had 6-week different sports. They had soccer, baseball, football, hockey, and so did that growing up. And then in 5th grade, it was when they were starting to get a little bit more into the competitive sports, and wheelchair basketball was their kind of the first one for the juniors. They had already had it for the adults, started back in '89, and then for the youth, I think this was like in '94, '95 range that they kind of got going with the juniors. I was one of the first players. A lot of fun. Finally in '98, we went to our first tournament. Got killed, had a blast, but that was the stepping grounds that we understood that we had to go through, and plus we were all, we were playing against high school kids for the most part, so it was quite the feat, but a lot of fun there. And the question was, how do I get to Turnstone, or how do I continue on Turnstone? I went on to college. When I was in college, I still volunteered at Turnstone. I helped start their 8 to 12-year-old basketball team, because as like individuals like myself, when we started the team, we kind of grew up, and the team kind of grew up with us, and so we had a high school team, but we had these younger kids that they couldn't really play at the high school level. Kind of like when we first started, we couldn't play at that high school level. So we split, we had 2 teams. And I started coaching that team as a volunteer when I was in college, got that going. And then as well with that, when I was going to college, during the tail end of my college, I got an internship over at the League for the Blind and Disabled. Did that for 6 months, and very fortunately, their youth service position came available, and they hired me on board. It was 6 months after that. Did that for 4 years, and during the same time, I was still volunteering with Turnstone, still involved, active, but I had the full-time job over at the league. And then, with everything kind of growing at Turnstone, they need to add a second person to oversee the sports and recreation program, and they called up my employer over at the league and said, you know what, we know you guys love Kevin, but we really want him in this area. I mean, can we interview him? And it was really nice. I was able to leave on good terms, and go to a place that I fully enjoy. I mean, I fully enjoyed everything at the league, but to go to a place I grew up in. I felt like, I've been a part of the whole building process of the sports program, to be able to take it to the next level, where we have over 130 athletes that are competing at the Paralympic level, at the highest level, all the way to just the rec, social type of level. One thing I love about what we're doing right now with Turnstone is we're doing so many more social opportunities. We have like a team night. We're doing different poker nights and all kinds of different kind of fun events, just kind of hang out. And then some of them want to take it to the next level and get more competitive in sports. Some of them just want to socialize.
What can they do as a work environment to improve how they treat their workers who happen to have disabilities?
Well, I was very fortunate. Both environments I was in, their mission is to serve individuals with disabilities. So hiring someone with a disability, the environment, I don't even really think about the whole not being able to walk. It's such a natural part of my everyday, whether it's at work or outside of work. It doesn't even come up, to me at least. And so making accommodations, all I need to do is raise my voice saying, hey, this desk is too high, can we lower this? Or I'm in the supply closet and I can't reach, X file. Is there a way we can lower this, or can you just get it for me? One thing I know a lot of individuals are afraid to ask questions, and as an individual with a disability, I have to be my own advocate. I have to be out there talking, communicating what my wants and needs are. If I don't, who's going to do it for me? And it's one of those things you got to really just own up and go, okay, this is what I need help with. So the employers I've had been great, no problems at all. I do remember I did an interview with a company, and I got offered the job, but I turned it down just because of the way the interview went. They were really trying to, it almost seemed like they were trying to be too creative to think of ways of why I couldn't do the job. It was a data entry job, so just computer data entry. I can type 65 words a minute, so not a big deal. And they were asking me questions like, well, if you have to lift up a 50-pound box, over to this location, could you do that? I said, yeah, I'll be happy. I could show you today if you want me to do it. And actually, I showed them, an example. I don't think it was 50 pounds, but it was something like that. It was certain questions like that. It's like, do I really want to be in this environment? I mean, now, if I was, searching for a job now, I probably would take it. But that was when I was still in college, didn't really need the job. I could pass on it. But I probably just kind of suck it in and go, okay, I need it, I'll go for it. But stuff like that I've seen, but to me that's minor. That's something you can work through, and it's probably more their understanding. They just don't know, and so I don't try to diss and throw that in their face every single time. We can move on and learn and grow together. So I've been fortunate, and a lot of the people around me have been really fortunate. But I think it's because of their attitude. They approach it. If you approach it with a good attitude, if you communicate what your wants and needs are, you're likely going to be in a better situation.
If you could talk a little bit, you said that you don't really have problems getting anywhere that you need to get, but are there places in and around Fort Wayne, or even travel destinations that are not accessible, that things that you just wish you could do, and what could be changed so that if you wished it, you could just go do it?
One thing would be really neat, and I know there's a lot of individuals who go from Fort Wayne to Chicago, especially to Chicago for like the Shriners Hospital or other kind of, there's a lot of stuff going on in Chicago. It's the big city around here. It'd be nice if we really had a train that went from here to all the way there. And that's not something that's just the disability community. A lot of people would love to have a commute instead of going up north a couple hours and then hopping on a train from there. So I know that would be huge if we had something like that. We have CityLink here that has CityLink Access, the bus, where it has a lift, goes curb to curb. Problem is, I've been told, I don't use CityLink myself, but I've been told there's certain areas within Allen County it doesn't go to, kind of the rural areas. So, that's obviously a barrier. What's the solution? Luckily I'm not in those shoes, but I know that is a barrier that comes up from time to time.
What other types of events like this do you participate in just for yourself?
Outside of work?
Yeah. That's okay if the answer is none. I do enough.
I never attended one of these things. How's it going? On just a personal level. yeah, like for, I don't know, this it's kind of personal, but I mean, like when I go to sporting events, a lot of times they'll have like different vendors and stuff with adaptive technology, the latest, sports chairs and equipment and stuff like that. So I see a lot of that, and it's kind of similar to this. Not as many breakout sessions where you have opportunity to do hands-on learning on how to dance in a chair or with the fashion show. I mean, those are really cool things that, or the climbing rock wall. I mean, those are things I've not seen before.
Did you climb the rock wall?
I haven't. If I have time, I might go over there later, but I've been circling, doing all over the place. I haven't had an opportunity to go over there. So, but I hopefully. Attitude is huge. I feel my opportunities have come not just because I'm lucky, but in ways because I've kept a positive spirit. And I know so many people, doesn't matter what your background is, what your history is, if you approach life with a more positive attitude, you're going to go far. You're going to go much farther than what you can imagine. So keep your head up, have good times, and the world around you will absorb and embrace it. So.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
And can you tell us who you are?
Barbara Gager,
And where are you from?
Fort Wayne,
And do you mind sharing with us how old you are?
73.
73. Are you retired?
Oh yeah, doctors made me retire when I was 54.
So what did you do?
I was a nurse aide
You were a nurse aide.
for 22 years.
Tell us a little bit about being a nurse aide.
I miss it very much. I love taking care of people. I either took care of kids or I took care of seniors. That was my two favorite spots.
Okay.
It was before the wheelchair, and then
Okay.
when I turned 54, the doctor told me I had to give it up.
Okay. So tell us about life after retirement.
Well, I tried working as a receptionist for my brother, who ran a company, and I did that for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And the doctor said, no, you can't do that either. So I had to just give up altogether.
Okay. And you have told me that you're pretty active. Tell us about some of the things that you do.
Oh, yeah. Well, I go to Turnstone, and I do ceramics.
Oh.
And I go bowling with them. And I do the Olympics every year.
What's your sport? Or
Well,
sports?
I did all kinds of them. I
Okay.
did archery, softball, sit-down volleyball. Yep. And been swimming. It's just a great place to go. You just, it just makes you feel good.
How did you find Turnstone?
Evidently, now this is, I don't know. Evidently, my doctor had called them, unbeknownst to me. The social worker showed up at my door one day. And me, I was very down. I didn't want to talk to nobody, didn't want to be bothered, and I wouldn't answer the door. She wouldn't leave. She stood there banging on my door for 3 or 4 hours. She refused to leave. She kept hollering, she is not leaving till I talked to her. So I got mad and I threw the door open and I said, what in the do you want? And she said, I need to talk to you. Your doctor sent me. And she told me where she was from and what it was all about. I said, get out of here. I don't want nothing to do with it. She said, there will be a van here for you Monday, and he will not leave till you get on it. She was right.
So what was your first trip to Turnstone like, since you didn't want to go?
Terrible. I wouldn't talk to anybody. They wanted me to introduce myself. I said, no. And I went clear on the other side of the room and sat there and wouldn't talk to nobody. If somebody come over to me, I'd tell them, get out of my face.
So what were you mad about?
I really don't know. But I didn't want to be bothered, and truthfully, I didn't want to be alive.
So what was the turning point? What changed?
Turnstone.
They
They
just
didn't give up on me. They wouldn't leave me alone. So what was you going to do? But I thank them every day for it.
And how long have you been going?
This is my 19th year.
Did they make you come here today?
No.
What made you come today?
Ceramics.
Okay. Do you have items
The Raggedy
displayed?
Ann and Andy is mine.
Okay. We'll have to go over and look. I can't see there from here.
Yeah, I did the Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls.
Okay. And what have you gotten out of today? What's been the best part of today?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I just love it all. I really do. I like to stop and talk to people. And
You've
find
known a
out
lot
what
of people here today, haven't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I go to all the health fairs, and then this, and they've got about the same people. And the people I get my chair from, they're here. My hearing aid people are here. People I get my shoes from are here. So yeah, I know a lot of them.
Okay. And what am I not asking you that I should be asking you?
I don't know. I think we're doing pretty good.
All right.
But I tell you, anybody that needs help, whether they're in a wheelchair or whatever, Turnstone is the best place you can go. Them people are fantastic. And they really turn your life around. I'm not kidding. They're fabulous.
So you've been going there for 19 years.
Mm-hmm. And now, in the last, I'd say maybe 5 years, they had this thing going that every year they would ask the oldest ones, would you like to graduate? Which means you gotta leave. And I finally told them, I said, don't ever ask me again if I want to graduate. I will never leave here. I don't care what. I'm not graduating.
You dragged me into this place. I'm not leaving now.
That's what I told my social worker. You wanted me here. You got me. I'm staying. And they haven't asked me since.
Good.
Well, when I first started, I was going 3 days a week because I just had my knee replaced. And I was there for therapy. But now I just go once a week. I wish I could go more.
Are there things that you would like to do that are not accessible to you?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I go bowling. I love to bowl. And Turnstone does that with me.
Okay.
In fact, we've got a lot of it coming up this summer.
What's your high score?
Not very much.
I can only score about a 45, so.
Oh, no, mine's higher than that. I think my last one was 120.
Oh, wow, that's really good.
So, I have to use a ramp. I tried it without one and it didn't work. I almost went out of my chair with the ball.
Did you climb the rock wall?
No, I don't dare do that.
You and Bob were talking about that, though, right?
Yeah, he did it, but no, I don't dare. My hands and arms wouldn't hold it.
Okay.
Neither would my legs. This leg don't bend, that foot don't bend. I better stay on the ground. Just don't give up, honey. I don't care what's wrong with you. Don't give up. Keep a smile on your face because it's always going to be better somewhere. I don't give up on anything. I try. If I want to do something, I'll try it. I won't give it up. I'll keep going. I am. I'm just a happy-go-lucky person, you know. There's no use to cry about it.
But you didn't always feel that way.
No, I didn't.
And
Turnstone made me that way. They taught me more than anybody ever could.
You've been through 2 moms.
Pardon?
You said you've been through 2 moms.
Well, I never knew my real mother. But my foster mother, yes. That hurt. She was my pride and joy. She had a foster home for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
She had one son of her own. He was 9 months old when I went to live with them.
Oh, wow.
So he's just like my brother. But, yeah, you don't find foster homes like that anymore. That was a fabulous place to be. And I had a wonderful mother. I sent her name into Channel 15 and the newspaper, voting her Mother of the Year, and she won both of them.
That sounds like she deserves it.
She did, and more. There's good people in this world. You just gotta know them.
Find them out.
That's right. And it's people that you wouldn't even think of. Very true.